Not
Numbers
too
kind of
bad.
stabilized, so maybe we'll kick things off. I said, good morning, everyone. I'm Jeff Henwood, Senior Director of Policy and Advocacy with Alberta Municipalities. I'd like to welcome you all to today's webinar, Grants in Your Municipality, Artificial Intelligence and Grant Writing. Alberta Municipalities is committed to helping you, our members, access grant funding, and many of you have told us that you'd like to learn more about artificial intelligence and the grant landscape. Before I introduce our guests, I'd like to mention that we have teamed up with Alberta Business Grants to bring you the latest information on available grants via weekly newsletter. You can sign up for the Grant Gazette by visiting abmunis.ca, clicking on Joint Programs, and then Municipal and Not-for-Profit Grants. So as always, today we're joined by David Kincaid, founder of Alberta Business Grants Limited. David's background includes 13 years as a successful grant writer. He's the lead instructor for the Advanced Grant Writing course and author of Golden Grant Rules, the ultimate guide for winning government grants. In addition to David, we're joined by Chantel Ritzy, AltaML's public sector lead with GovLab.ai, which is the partnership between the government of Alberta and AltaML. She'll be able to give us a rundown of GovLab and some of the government sector use cases they've worked on. We have Vinay Gupta, Senior Advisor in Northern Ontario with MyTax. And finally, we have Andrew Pryor, Manager of Innovation Ecosystems with Prairie Economic Development Canada. And he leads the strategic investments that ultimately support the growth of tech-based and innovative businesses, which ultimately contribute to a robust Alberta economy. And with that, I'll turn the floor over to David.
Jeff, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for being here. I'm going to take care of some housekeeping items, and then we'll turn it over to our excellent guest speakers today. In the chat right now, and I want you to see, I put a couple things. One is there's a list of resources of past webinars. This is part of a series that we're currently, we're running. This is the 7th webinar to increase your grant writing knowledge and get general advice on grant writing. And we do that through bringing in industry experts and partnering with great speakers like we are today. So a couple other housekeeping items. You'll see that in the chat. You can put that in your binder. I'm also attaching from our last webinar, the grant calendar. In case you missed that, that attachment is in there as well. So now you've got a list of all the recordings, as well as the links to the AB newsletter, the Grant Gazette, which, hey, if you're liking the Grant Gazette and the AB newsletter, show some love in the chat because we get a lot of feedback from you about upcoming grant deadlines. So we know you like that, as well as the grant search. So there's a free grant search tool. There's a list of upcoming grant deadlines. There's the grant calendar, and you can put that all in your grant binder. I'm also attaching the slides for today's presentations, and they'll be in there. And hold on, I want to make sure I get everything. Oh, I'm going to do a quick poll just to give sometimes it's kind of awkward doing these presentations because you're speaking into this like black box. So we're going to do our typical launch. It's just a 2-question poll to say, your grant level knowledge, and I'll share the results with everybody, and like whether you're from a city or a town. So I'm going to launch that right now. If you do not want to answer, please don't answer. It's really just to help our guest speakers and track our metrics. So I'm going to launch that now. You should see that, and you can vote. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you for doing that. And just while you're voting, the reason why we're doing this, as I mentioned before, the impact we're trying to have is really around economic development activity in your municipality through generating 3 things. One, generating a general awareness of grant opportunities, enhancing developing your capacity in municipalities to write grants and participate in programs. And if you love grants, you can you please say so in the chat or how you feel about it. And then increasing opportunities to identify new and ongoing areas of struggle and opportunities for improvement related to grants through these webinars. And obviously, AI is everywhere right now, and it's kind of, it's a lot. So, and if you're like me and you struggle spelling artificial, let alone fully understanding this, that's why we're bringing in people from the field to just talk to us and educate us and give us a few skills. Thank you for answering that. I'm going to end the poll now. And I'm going to share the results with you. Here you go. Jeff, can you see that okay?
I can, yep.
Okay, perfect. More importantly, I guess also our guest speakers, Andrew, Chantal, Vinay, you can see that okay? Just hit the quick thumbs up. Perfect. Great. So yeah, it's well, our audience is becoming more knowledgeable with grants as we've been doing this. That's great. And I always huge mad respect to all those people out there with 5+ years experience, and love that you come here and you're always skilling up. You have a real attitude of just learning, and it's an honor to be around you as always. Okay, so as Jeff said, Jeff gave the introduction. We're going to keep this as tight as we can, about 10 minutes for each guest speaker. Chantel, unfortunately, has to leave. She has another prior commitment after this. And but just before I turn it over, I just want to say a quick 30-second thing is, there's a lot going on in the grant space. You were seeing like this GovLab where the government is, putting money into organizations that are going to help municipalities. And then there's programs, whether it's Prairies Can Regional Artificial Intelligence or My Tax running different programs. So we thought we'd bring them in and just learn and improve our skills, as I mentioned. So with that, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Chantal. Chantal, the floor is yours.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. Can I get a thumbs up on the presentation? Fabulous. Thank you again. So, thank you so much for the very warm welcome and for having me here. As mentioned, Chantal Ritzy. I'm Vice President of Alta Amal's Public Sector Practice. So what that means is that I lead all of our delivery practice as we work with our public sector clients. I've been with our organization for almost 3 years now, and I come from a very deep history in public sector. I've worked in public sector prior to Alta Amal for over 2 decades, working across all levels of government. Spent a good part of time at the provincial level, but also at the municipal and briefly with the federal government, a little bit of time in academia as well. But my passion is really working within public sector to transform service delivery to better serve our clients. And I know the passion and drive that exists within public sector. So I'm really proud to be able to still work in that space, just very specifically through the lens of applied AI. So just a little bit about our organization before I kick into GovLab. So AltaML is an applied AI firm. I always like to stress the word applied because we don't work in the art of the theoretical. We're not about advancing artificial intelligence as a discipline. We really rely on our post-secondary institutes, places like Amy Vector Institute, to do that and to really push the envelope when it comes to research. For us, it's all about the application and getting AI into the hands of end users so that you can realize the benefits therein. So we're headquartered in Edmonton, where I am sitting today. We also have offices in Calgary, Toronto, and Waterloo. So our offices tend to coincide with the best post-secondary institutes for AI across the country. And we've worked across any number of sectors, 90 plus organizations and more than 450 use cases. But again, our focus is very much on that implementation side. So we do offer a variety of different types of services. When I started with the organization, we really like to stress the fact that we ship code, not PowerPoints. Today's presentation notwithstanding. But since I started with AltaML, we have pivoted on that a little bit. We recognize that our clients aren't always going to come to us at the same level of maturity, and some of them might need education and advisory services before they're ready to either tackle a specific individual use case or even work with us on a long-standing program like we've established with the government of Alberta through GovLab. So this GovLab thing, you've heard it mentioned a couple of times. Let's dive into that and see what that's all about. So we love grants too. This partnership that was established back in May of 2022 is a partnership between ourselves, the government of Alberta, and MyTax. So we work very closely with our MyTax folks here in Alberta, sourcing students to get them that experiential learning and giving them an entry point into the local job market as well, so that we can keep as much of that talent locally as possible. And our goal in GovLab is to really harness that rich potential in the public sector data. So again, worked in public sector for better than 20 years. I know the value of the data that you hold and the fact that we can do more with that data through the application of AI to build out those better services for our citizens. So that is really our goal through our GovLab, while also establishing an innovation ecosystem. So when the GOA started this program, they really wanted to accelerate the adoption of AI across the broader public sector. And so they worked with us to build out a model that would make it easier for other levels of government to enter in and create that large innovation ecosystem within our province, all while also attracting talent into these places. So I started that long public sector career actually as a summer student back in the day, and I very quickly realized that the work in public sector is so impactful. The difference that you're making to your citizens' lives is huge. And I wanted to be a part of that. And I wouldn't have had visibility into that without that first entry level job. So we want to give that experience to our interns, show them that innovation can and does happen within public sector. And then we're also providing upskilling to public sector employees through this program. We give them the opportunity to come in and join our project teams as what we've deemed a residency program, and they get fully upskilled in AI and machine learning. And our goal with that is to ensure that there's never vendor lock-in. We don't want to create a situation where governments continue to need to rely on AltaML to maintain and operate their models. We want to provide training so that if they want to, they can be self-sufficient with the maintenance of those models as they move forward. And I would say that this is really playing out well. The government of Alberta is a great example. They've been growing their team of machine learning developers. Everyone that they've hired so far has been someone that they've had experience with through our GovLab program. So they've been hiring our former interns. And then they've also been creating that knowledge in-house so that as we operationalize models, they're not giving that work to us. They're bringing that work inside government to maintain those models, which I think is tremendous. So again, we're working in what we've called a multi-tenant model, where the GOA provides this anchor tenant funding so that it makes it easier for folks like the City of Calgary, Alberta Health Services Cancer Care Group, other agencies, boards, and commissions and municipalities to join into the lab. And the way that we work is through a fully integrated cross-functional team where AltaML comes to the table with that really deep bench strength in machine learning. We've got software engineers, product owners, agile project delivery managers, etc. But our tenants have responsibility here too. So using the City of Calgary perhaps as an example, they've got program leadership as well as project leadership, and then the business and data subject matter experts that we rely on so heavily. There is, like I said, that aspect of a resident that is an optional um, role within our project team. The tenant doesn't have to take part in that residency program, but so far they always have because it's such a value add for them. And then our third partner, of course, is academia, where we're partnering with our academic supervisors for these students. Our academic supervisors know what an incredible program we offer their students, so they are funneling us the cream of the crop, and we are hiring roughly 1% of applicants who come in. So it's a highly competitive program. We are really getting the best of the best to expose them to these project teams, and then hopefully they go on to work with our clients. I did want to touch upon our responsible AI principles because, of course, working with AI in the space of public sector with public data, we have to ensure that we are doing so in a manner that is incredibly responsible. We know that legislation is rather lagging in this space. There's great legislation when it comes to things like privacy and security, but less so around fairness, inclusivity, bias, and data, etc. And so our mission statement being to elevate human potential through applied AI, we know we can't do that if we're building AI in a manner that isn't highly responsible. So these are Alta ML's responsible AI principles that guide everything that we do so that our public sector folks know that even if there isn't a legislative framework to address fairness and inclusivity, we're doing so just as part of our standard project delivery. So, what have we actually accomplished since this program has launched? Well, we've generated almost 400 different ideas, completed 17 projects, and deployed 8 of those. The remainder are in varying states of completion. We've identified over $32 million of value. And I always like to stress that this value isn't necessarily a return on investment. So I know that quite often when we look at these types of use case in the public sector, there's a concern about job security and what does a return on investment look like in the public sector space. Quite often, the types of values that we're realizing through these projects are values that are realized by our external stakeholders or through risk mitigation. So, a couple of examples of that, we've done a permit application system for the city of Edmonton. The largest benefit there, I mean, there's some administrative burden that's relieved in the city to the tune of about one person's worth of time per um, a month worth of time per year. But the larger part of the value is realized by the developers who are having their permits approved much more quickly. And then we've trained over 75 associates so far. So here are some of those use cases that we have that we've built, just a smattering of the different types. Um, I know that we don't have a ton of time, so I'll just highlight a couple of these for you. One that I thought would be particularly relevant is work that we're doing with the Department of Municipal Affairs on a safety codes research assistant. So they have safety codes duty officers who right now take queries about the building code, the electrical code, plumbing code, whatever the case may be. They have to go into those codes, research them. It takes them roughly 2 hours per query to formulate a response and get that back. We've built a solution that helps them really expedite that process and do that research for them. I had mentioned the permit application screening tool that we had done. This was with the city of Edmonton, where they found that their permitting system was getting choked at the point of reviewing applications for the engineering stamps. And those stamps were failing on a number of different criteria. The the applications weren't necessarily being reviewed consistently, though, either. So, what we did is we built a machine learning solution that identifies the engineering stamp on the application, checks against these 15 different criteria that we codified with the city, and gives it a thumbs up or thumbs down. If it's a thumbs down, it says which of the particular aspects it failed on. There isn't an APEGA number, there's not a signature, whatever the case may be, and gives that feedback back to the reviewer very timely. And what the goal is with this one is to actually turn the solution outward facing so that developers can assess their own applications before they hit submit and really speed up that process. And then maybe the last one that I'll go into with you is work that we've just completed with the city of Calgary using images to identify, classify, and triage pavement defects. So in our first proof of concept, the city wasn't collecting this data at that point in time. So we used Google Street View images and we trained our machine learning models to be able to identify things like the cracks in the road or deformations. And based off of that proof of concept, the city then realized that yes, this is absolutely feasible. They bought cameras, mounted those in a couple of their fleet vehicles that drive the entirety of their road network, and have now collected all of the data throughout the entire city and are using this model to determine where to prioritize when they send out crews. So, just a few quick examples of some of the work that we have done that is in place. I won't go through the rest of these, but as you can see, things like fleet maintenance, facility maintenance, there's no shortage of opportunities. So maybe I will pause there though. And I'm not sure, David, if
Yeah,
we wanted
yeah.
to do questions between or,
Well, I know you've got to go, Chantal. So if maybe
yeah,
you just stop sharing for a sec.
yeah,
Just we could ask you a quick. Chantal's got to leave the end of the hour, so we don't have a lot of time for this. But just from a municipal perspective, the idea of I love how you called it road defects, potholes all over the place, and then there's these, taking shots like this is a bad one, this is a
yeah.
bad one. Go fix this one first, which is I mean it's kind of cool, right? So if I'm a municipality right now and I think what I took notes here is first is identify a project. Would that be reasonable? Identify a project. Two, well, walk us through the steps just quickly what a municipality should do
Yeah,
to move forward.
100%. So when you're embarking on an AI journey, it's very important to recognize you can go a couple of different paths. There are AI solutions that you can buy. Working with a company like ours, we're primarily building AI for our clients. So, but that being said, things that we've built for other organizations, you can buy from us too, right? So the solution that we built for the city of Calgary, that's for purchase rather than building that yourselves, you can just reach out to me and we can have a conversation. If you wanted to build an AI solution that isn't one of these things that I've talked about, so maybe it's an AI solution to help with irrigation management in a more rural community, right? I'd still suggest you work with an AI firm to help define whether or not you've got the right data available because anytime you're building AI, that's built off of data, right? So we've got to make sure that we've got the right data at hand to be able to build out those solutions. So we work really closely with our municipal partners to identify the right problem. Is this a costly problem? Is it supported by data? Do you have the right conditions to succeed here? And by the right conditions to succeed, I am also looking at things around AI adoption. So one example, we had
Sorry,
a yeah,
sorry, Chantal, just to jump in here, just to
yeah,
save time. For
yeah,
I want to. So the 2 points around AI adoption. So are the municipalities, because I'm sure it's not cheap to build your own AI
correct,
model.
correct.
Are the municipalities winning grants to do that project? Have you seen that?
Yeah, for sure. There are absolutely grants that are available. Like I said, it's easier to work with us through GovLab because the GOAs provided a level of funding. So that helps to defer some of the costs.
Okay.
And then we're also MyTax funded. And then there are the other grants that you can apply for, right? There are the Prairies Can grants, there are Scale AI grants. There's a few different ways to go for sure.
Yeah, and you can help them that if they reach out.
Correct.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, I wish we had more time, and then that's something that I'm sure some of the people are going to give us some feedback on. But is there any final sort of remarks you want to leave us with? Maybe next step, how a municipality should reach out to you or something like that going forward.
Yeah, I will drop my contact info into our chat here in case you didn't have the opportunity to grab it. It is also in the slide deck, which you have access to. I'll also share our GovLab website. I would say don't take your size as a barrier to adopting AI. There are solutions that are a fit even for small municipalities, things that you can use. They might not be Alta ML tools. That's okay. Reach out and I can point you in some directions of some things that you can readily implement safely and securely as well.
Thank you so much.
You
Let's give
bet.
her a round of applause or some thank you in the chat. Chantel, thank you so much for coming today. This has been great, and just for time, we've got to move on to Vinay. So maybe if you got a few minutes in the chat, feel free to reach out to someone before you go, Chantel. Okay, thank you, Vinay. The floor is yours.
Perfect. Thanks, David. Can someone please confirm if they can see my screen?
100%. Yep, looks good. You can even make it full. There you go. Now I got full size. It's great.
Yeah. Perfect. And man, Chantal's presentation on govlab.ai, that was phenomenal, wasn't it? It also makes it easy for me to follow up as that's really one of the successful partnerships we have helped funded with AltaML and the government of Alberta. So it does make my session relatively easier to follow. Hi everyone, I'm Vinay. I'm one of the senior advisors with my tax business development team, and I'm based out of Edmonton. Before I start, quick thanks to David and Jeff from Alberta Municipalities for inviting me for the session. Within this brief session today, I want to introduce support available through my tax funding programs and maybe share some insights on how my tax can help solve certain innovation challenges for municipalities in Alberta. So without further ado, maybe I do love to talk about MyTax mission because at MyTax we have a relatively simple but an ambitious mission of bringing innovation into reach for more people and more places. And we plan to do this through access to top researchers, flexible project plans through variety of our programs, and co-investments or matching funding for talent investments for various partner organization projects. To emphasize the role that MyTax plays in connecting various elements of Canadian ecosystem, I like this visual tool, which is a graph theoretic representation of MyTax funded projects between the years 2019 to 2022. Within this period, we worked over 5,000 partner organizations and over 5,000 professors across various universities and colleges across Canada and supported over 28,000 internships for students across Canada. So this just hopefully gives you a magnitude of the role MyTax plays in connecting Canada's key players in the innovation ecosystem. With that, an obvious question for you might be, what does MyTax do? So, in simplest sense, I like to describe MyTax as a matchmaker between academia and community partners. Our community partners can include for-profit companies, not-for-profit organizations, municipalities, as a lot of representatives on the call are associated with, hospitals, etc. At its core, MyTax supports collaborative research and innovation-based projects that tap into the talent and resource of Canada's post-secondary system. Thereby, in doing so, we hope to match needs with expertise to create ambitious solutions to real-world challenges. In simplest sense, at MyTalks, we help and hope to foster partnerships between community partners and academic institutions such that these partnerships can leverage academic talent at Canadian post-secondary institutions to address key innovation challenges for our community partners, which could be municipalities as well. With that, I also want to briefly talk about MyTax funding programs. At MyTax, we do fund the entire innovation spectrum. That is, our programs are tailored towards various stages of innovation and research needs of an organization. For core research projects, that is, projects where you expect peer-reviewed publications out of the projects, we have a flagship program called MyTax Accelerate and Elevate that supports applied research collaborations between partner organization and academic groups. One of the things that I would like to clarify at MyTax, our programs are available to all disciplines and sectors. Our second programming, which is more geared towards innovation and development oriented projects, might be of more interest to municipalities. For innovation and development oriented projects, simply that is projects that involve implementation of existing tools and methodologies. We have our business strategy internship or BSI program that is targeted to support such collaborations. And on the international impact angle, or for international impact, we have our Global Link programs or Global Link suite of program offering that support international collaborations and mobility of talent to and from Canada. Now, having talked about our programs, I do want to focus the remaining time of my presentation and take more of a municipal landscape. So at my tax, we do have a long history of working with municipalities across Canada. So I thought it would be interesting to look at what are some of the key challenges from a municipal perspective that our key municipal stakeholders have mentioned to us. So this is a snapshot from one of the webinars that we did for our municipal stakeholders last year, where we did ask them about the key challenges that municipalities face with regards to engaging in innovation-oriented collaborations, or what are some of their key challenges from an innovation perspective. So as you see, these are the top responses from that session. One thing to highlight, municipal challenges vary across a wide range of topics, from infrastructure and asset management to homelessness to reconciliation and EDI, which is just to name a few. Uh, I think this also gives a broader perspective on the variety of challenges that municipalities deal with. I do realize the focus of this particular session is more around artificial intelligence and adoption of artificial intelligence based tools to aid municipalities in their challenges. And I'm happy to dive that in my subsequent slide. But before that, I thought it would also be useful to look at various sectors that municipal projects could be constructed from. So the following is an infographic that shows a split between different sectors for past municipal projects at MyTax. As you can see, top themes for municipal projects remain around sustainability and environment, public service, policy and governance, and environmental science and technology. But a key theme does remain, which is very evident between all these projects from variety of sectors, is there is a clear element of and focus on technology adoption, adopting existing tools for solving those innovation challenges despite the particular sector the project is associated with, which I found really interesting. So, with that, given the focus on artificial intelligence and how adoption of artificial intelligence based tools could help municipalities solve their innovation challenges, I do want to highlight these two particular projects that we have supported at MyTax in past with municipalities, just to give you an insight into how municipalities can leverage MyTax support and existing post-secondary talent to solve their key challenges. So the first partnership I want to highlight was between City of Ottawa and Carleton University, where City of Ottawa collaborated with a research group out of Carleton University to develop machine learning based tools to tackle the issue of chronic homelessness. Within this project, the group together worked towards developing an ethical and unbiased machine learning based solution to predict the total number of nights an individual will stay in a shelter 6 months in the future. In addition to this, within this project, the group also worked to gain knowledge about some of the internal and external factors that may affect the likelihood of recurrence of homelessness. This is an excellent example of how a problem that is so unique and so crucial to municipalities, which is chronic homelessness, could was addressed, and certain elements of the problem were addressed by leveraging existing expertise at Carleton University. For my second example, I do want to bring it a bit more closer to home. So I do want to highlight this particular partnership between City of Edmonton, specifically Edmonton Police Services, and a research group based out of University of Alberta. Within this project titled Deep Insight, the group worked on developing an AI-driven tool for advanced analysis of criminal case data files. Essentially, within this project, the research group applicants employed advanced artificial intelligence related techniques such as natural language processing to analyze police case files, identify key entities and their relationships, and develop a really powerful investigative tool for law enforcement. The spirit within this project is that by improving the efficiency and effectiveness of police investigation, this project aims to enhance public safety and contribute to a safer community for local Edmontonians and all Canadians. So with this, these are just two examples from a huge repository of variety of projects that municipalities have facilitated using using MyTax resource to address their innovation challenges. But this is also to help trigger the thought process for participants present in this session that how you could leverage artificial intelligence and related tools for a variety of challenges that are crucial and critical to your own organizations. With that, I do want to take a quick second to thank our funding partners. At MyTax, we are funded by federal and provincial governments, and the important work that we do at MyTax would not be possible if not for the support of our federal and provincial funding partners. And I do want to sincerely thank each and every one of you for your time and listening to me. My contact information is displayed here, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And David, I think the plan is for questions and answers after the
After,
session.
yeah, we'll let Andrew go next, and then I've got a question for you as well. So, Andrew, the floor is yours. Thank you very much, Vinay.
Okay, looking good.
Yeah, you can go full screen if you want right now. There you go.
That's
Perfect. Yep,
that's okay. That is full screen. Okay,
you're full
great,
screen. You're
great.
perfect now.
Okay, well, yeah, thank you for the invite, David. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and kind of talk a little bit about Prairie's Economic Development Canada. I'm the manager of innovation ecosystems for Alberta region. And innovation ecosystems encompasses our investments in nonprofit organizations that deliver programming to support innovative and technology-based businesses in Alberta. And although I'm here today to talk about the Regional AI Initiative, I wanted to take a step back and talk a little bit about Prairies Can in general, just to kind of set the context for what it is that we're looking for through this Regional AI Initiative. And I'm not going to go over a ton of information that's already on the website, but what I will say in terms of our project development or funding development process is that we're very iterative. You don't write an application and then kind of hit submit and wait for a response, like a yes or no response. There's a lot of back and forth, and so as questions arise, we're more than happy to deal with those as we're working through an application. So yeah, I'm not going to get into the specifics too much. I just want to set the scene, I suppose, for what we're really looking for. Going to be able to advance the slides here. Oh, there we go. So just a quick overview of our mandate and current priorities, just to provide this context. Prairie's Economic Development Canada is the federal department that supports economic growth and diversification in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Our programs and services are designed to help businesses and communities grow stronger and become more inclusive, and to help them prosper and compete in a global economy. And so, sort of narrowing in a little bit further, our priorities for this year are green economy, and so that's all about enabling success in a net zero future. New value and competitiveness. So, how do we accelerate growth through new sources of value, as well as driving innovation in traditional sectors? And within this priority, we're placing additional emphasis on value-added agriculture and clean technology. And finally, inclusivity. So how do we foster a more equitable and inclusive economy by supporting the economic participation of underrepresented groups? So that's kind of the lens that we're going to apply to our regional artificial intelligence program. So getting into the program itself, this is part of a Budget 2024 announcement, about $2 billion in artificial intelligence funding, of which regional development agencies received about 200 million. And we're one of 7 regional development agencies across the country. Our funding's focused on supporting commercialization and adoption of AI, particularly in critical sectors which have been identified as agriculture, clean technology, healthcare systems, and manufacturing. And we also have some flexibility to address regional needs as they arise. I think it's important to talk about the sort of the ambition and the focus of this program. So at a very high level, the ambition is to secure Canada's AI advantage. And to that end, as a regional development agency, we are focused on leveraging AI as a transformative economic opportunity. So what are we looking for? So for nonprofit investments, we're really looking at cluster building activities. We want to look to build an AI ecosystem in Alberta, one that can attract, develop, and retain top talent, 2 regional clusters, one that can build out advisory services to support capacity development in small and medium-sized enterprises. And you kind of see this in the outcome. So this program is very much about job creation, driving revenue growth in businesses, driving export sales, and driving private sector investment. I'll talk a little bit about we're early in the program. It launched in 2025, and we just got the funding approval or the budget approval. I think it was in November or December. So we're just rolling through our first crop of projects. We do have 3 in the nonprofit sector that we're looking at right now. One is the intersection of artificial intelligence and construction. We're looking at artificial intelligence in manufacturing, and we're also looking at artificial intelligence in agriculture, in primary agriculture. We haven't seen much coming from municipalities in the way of AI adoption. And in part, that may be a reflection of the outcomes that we're looking for, which sort of are very much centered around the firm as a driver of economic growth. But that being said, we have funded what I would call ecosystem building projects in the past. One is the Wave Tech Center, which is the City of Calgary. So this is I guess, a program that encourages pilots and experiments for building the City of Calgary's understanding of like new technologies and helping the city to adopt innovative solutions. We did something similar with the City of Edmonton and Edmonton Unlimited called Capital City Pilots. And then also the Energy Innovation Challenge, which was a partnership between the City of Medicine Hat and Decentralized Energy Canada to help technology-based businesses that were deploying primarily electrical grid solutions to help them get a demonstration going in the market. And so, not to be too prescriptive in terms of what I'm looking for, but certainly I'll point back to the ecosystem building and the cluster building. So it's really about how do we support capacity building in a way that drives business growth. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Andrew, thank you very much for that. Short and sweet. I love it. Let's talk about your program for a minute on the municipality potentially being an eligible expense. So, for example, you talked about like a green economy. Well, you got municipalities dealing with waste, trying to improve their systems. People like me who are grant writers will write with this innovative entrepreneur who says, I need a customer. And I'm talking to Banff, or I'm talking to, name the municipality they're talking to. How do municipalities bolt on to a project like that where they can be de-risked a bit of being a first customer for a new technology? Can you walk us through how something like that might look like?
Yeah, so we had 2 general ways of funding innovation. One is we fund companies directly. So a company comes to us and say, "Hey, I want to launch a product. I need money to do it." And the other way we do it is funding nonprofits, and these are the ecosystem projects. So in the case of the City of Edmonton through Edmonton Unlimited, they came to us and said, "Hey, we have a bunch of city challenges that we're looking to solve. and we want those challenges to be solved by Alberta-based businesses. So essentially connecting a city challenge with a company solution. So the way that worked is we funded Edmonton Unlimited as a non-profit organization. The Wave Tech Center we funded City, I think it was City of Calgary directly. It could have been Calgary Economic Development. I think it was City of Calgary directly. And we provide them with the funding so that they can deliver essentially a service to technology businesses, Alberta technology businesses. It just so happens in the process of doing that, the city is also obtaining a benefit. But I will go back to like our primary intention is to drive economic development. So in some respects, we view the city as a tool to drive economic development.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm going in this. And sorry for thinking out loud here, but I'm thinking about that entrepreneur who has an innovative solution, and a municipality could be a first customer. So, is it potential there where your program would essentially make this project cost less for the municipality to enable this entrepreneur to potentially try out this technology? It's there's a
Yeah.
benefit for them to being a project partner on a potential application is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, short answer is yes. I mean, we certainly like to see the more businesses involved, the better,
Hmm.
because then it starts to look more like an ecosystem play. You have like this artificial intelligence in construction project. There's a nonprofit organization in the construction space. They've got about 20 tech-based companies. They've got about 10 sort of architectural engineering, construction, real estate companies on the other end, and they're just trying to connect, sort of be this matchmaker. So yeah, for sure. In terms of how we would structure that, ideally, what we would probably do is say, okay, the municipality is going to bear costs. We can pay for those costs. Usually, we like to pay for half the costs. You find that the other half somewhere else. We would be prepared to recognize the contributions of the industry partners as in-kind contributions, assuming they're not too messy
Yeah.
to kind of put a value on. And you can certainly use that as a matching, as part of the matching. So there's lots of ways we can kind of skin it for sure.
Yeah. Hey, Vinay, come on in here. We want your money too. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's really interesting discussion, and we're all learning here, right? But this idea of collaboration and partners and bringing talent together, what's kind of why we wanted you all come in a room and just kind of blend it all up and see if there's anything here. But Vinay, just I guess over to you, and then Jeff is going to take questions. Anyone, so please ask a question. Jeff will open the floor up. Um, in terms of projects, Vinay, municipalities coming out to you, should they be approaching you similar to what we've done as well? They can pick up the phone, talk to you, say, hey, we've got this potential project. How would you fit into that?
Definitely. And again, given that we are present across Canada, so I do have my counterparts in different regions in Alberta. That is, I do have my colleagues in different regions. So based on whatever region is the most proximal to you, you can simply reach out to your MyTax representative and discuss that the particular innovation challenge that you're looking to address in terms of a project. At MyTax, our entry threshold is much lower in the sense that we really do want to we do provide co-investments into project. That is, we provide matching funding for projects. So the municipal partner needs to come up with 50% of the funding, but essentially the project can span out any discipline as long as it's helping any key innovation need that
Mm,
you are hoping to address within your municipal group. And the other element of it is we also hope to match you with a relevant post-secondary group which can provide that adequate academic expertise to solve that particular challenge for your group. So the simplest mechanism would be, yeah, definitely reach out to us, whether that's through email or phone, and we can take the conversation from there.
have you ever stacked, by the way? I mean, obviously you must have over the years, like worked together on a project.
I can definitely answer from my tax part, and I think Andrew might have it similarly for Prairie Scan. Given that both of our organizations are funded by federal and government dollars, generally stacking doesn't work from my tax perspective. So
Okay.
there are certain rules when the provincial and federal governments are funding an organization like us, they don't want government dollars to be matched with government dollars.
Okay.
That being said, there have been certain exceptional circumstances where give for a certain project and a shared common objective, we have come up with memorandum of understandings between organization to recognize that matching, but that's not as common.
Okay. Thank you. Jeff, any
Actually,
questions? Oh, go ahead,
sorry,
David.
I just jump in there because we are a little different. And I might answer the second question first. I'm not sure if MyTax and PrairieScan have ever like co-developed a project together. When it comes to the matching, it kind of depends on the program. This particular program, or the stacking, sorry, this particular program, technically we can go to 100% stacking. So if it was a MyTax PrairieScan funded project, technically it could work, but you have to remember as a sort of investor, if we're presented with a project that looks like that versus a project that looks like, a third of the money from us, a third from like Alberta Innovates, and a third from industry partners, that looks a little different to us when we kind of assess projects kind of against each other.
What does that mean? It means like it's less favorable or more
Yeah.
favorable.
Yeah. Like you think if we have I think our budget on this program is 38 million. So if I can spend 38 million and leverage it against, if I'm in at a third, I
Yeah.
spend 38 million and leverage it against, whatever 2 times 38 is 76 million versus just 38 million if I'm in at 100%. Like I just don't get as much leverage. I'm not going to
Oh,
get it.
wow.
The outcomes aren't going to be as great.
Yeah. So you actually you like stacking, Andrew, just to summarize that. You prefer it? Did I
Well,
follow you?
yeah, I mean, we don't mind stacking. I mean, I think if the money's coming from industry, it's a strong signal that there's industry need there. If the money's coming from a provincial body, great. That means we've got provincial alignment, which is
Okay.
always happy. Like, as a regional development agency, we take the federal priorities and we try and align them with provincial priorities. That's kind of the sweet spot, right?
Mhm. Gotcha. Thank you.
David, looking at the Q&A box, it's empty, but I do note a new question in the chat, which is, to what extent are you deploying AI agents in your work or systems? Have you seen meaningful results like cost savings or error reduction?
Who does anyone want to take that one? Yeah, in your work.
We yeah, we aren't really using them a lot right now, although there are other parts of the federal government that are taking advantage of AI programs, particularly like that example that Chantel provided around permits and things like that. So
Yeah.
that type of government service, which is a bit more forms based, we're seeing deployment,
Hmm.
and then I think we just got a notice to stop using DeepSeek.
Interesting. You
Whoever's
know,
been using it.
we're just at the beginning of this. That's what's kind of exciting about this. We've all been around a bit, so seen early trends, but this money's just coming in, the projects are coming in, and those chatbots are getting so much better. They used to be terrible even 2 years ago,
Mhm.
and now they're like, whoa, they're getting really good. Um,
David, next up is, does the municipality go out to the businesses first to obtain the project quotes and costs, or do they attempt to obtain the funding first?
uh, does
Is
anyone
that a
else
que-
want to take that?
is that a question for me or?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, first of all, I wanted to bring it up. And I thought one of the highlights of today is you can just talk to the team, right? You can say, hey, look, you know what? We have this problem. It aligns with what you're doing. How would this work? So today is just to kind of say, look, this is what's going on in this space. These are some of the players. They have phone calls, they have emails. You can reach out to them and you can work with it. So, you know, be an early adopter. I mean, you're sitting here on a call pretty early in this funding cycle. Like there's some exciting opportunity here for you. And my guess is if you're on this call from municipality, you're pretty bright, you're pretty forward thinking. So, some tremendous opportunity here for you to just work through that process.
Hey, David, your old pal Chris Anderchuk, who's now with the City of Edmonton's AI team, will reach out to you. Um, Going back to, I guess, nothing else in the Q&A box, but in the chat, we do have a question. Does MyTax have a list of the projects or grants for municipalities?
Definitely. I think that pretty much directed to me. So we do have a list of our programs that's available on our website, but all of our programs are available for municipalities. That is, municipalities are eligible partners for our programming. in terms of what program would be a better fit, I would definitely advise you to reach out to a my tax representative such as myself, so that based on your needs, we can appropriately advise you on appropriate next steps. But by default, all my tax programs are also available to municipalities to participate in.
And I just put in the chat, Jeff, to supplement that, as part of this project we're doing, so every week you're getting upcoming deadlines of grants for municipalities, and there's almost 300 of them in the database right there. So, lots of opportunity for you to find grants at no cost to you.
Thank you for doing that, David. Another maybe a reminder to please sign up for the newsletter I mentioned at the start, because you will get that in your inbox almost every Monday morning.
Yeah, and Jeff, I don't think there's any more questions. Do you mind if I just say a few final words before we go?
Yeah, no other questions, so please close things out here, David.
Yeah, first, Vinay, Andrew, thank you so much for coming. And Chantal, she's gone. But I just wanted to give people encouragement, right? Like, it's kind of, I don't want to use the word scary, but it's, AI, it's coming. There's DeepSeek, there's a lot of unknowns, both for all of us, but also people in our communities. So I'm just, hopefully today is something where you can, we're just putting it in front of you and we're going to embrace it and work on this together. And yeah, so we're going through this. So just be confident, keep moving forward, and have encouragement. And try not to get overwhelmed. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming, but just keep working like you're doing. We encourage you to do that. You're going to receive a survey from us at the end. Please just take a moment to like 3 questions. Let us know that this was valuable today because we're trying to serve you. And watch out for our next webinar that'll take place in April. So thank you, Jeff, for hosting as always. This is great. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, until next time, have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Everyone.